Oh, ha, yes. Every week, every episode of JoJo just makes you feel it in your chest. I feel like the ultimate warrior every time I get done watching an episode of JoJo. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Infrar-Ed. Welcome to the Scout Reports. I bring you an anime review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, Episode 5. That's right, 5 episodes in. And just like I said about Boku no Hero last week, it is episodes like this is why I feel so strong about this series, why it's the strongest anime out there. It's just so manly, but at the same time it can bring the feels like no other. It can make you see both sides of a situation, and it can tell a story like no other. So I gotta clap it up for Araki, the mangaka of this series, as we go up from part 1 to part 2, part 3, part 4, and his complexity level just goes up and up. His storytelling level just goes up and up each episode. So that's enough of me ranting. Like I said, I shouldn't have to tell you how great this series is right now. You should be here just to get the breakdown. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Our episode starts off with Keicho Nijimura. He's on the ground. He's down and out. Wrecked. Missiles just blasted him from the end of last episode, with Josuke using Crazy Diamond's reconstruction ability to put the missiles back together from Bad Company and sent them right back at him, shot him up. He's on the ground. Dude just took missile fire and he's just on the ground. He's hurting. He's bleeding right now. And at this point, Josuke is like, look, we need to just get out of here. However, Koichi, he wants to stay behind. He wants to find the stand bow and arrow because he wants to avoid more situations like what happened to him and what's going on with the Nijimura Bros to happen. He doesn't want anybody else to get hurt for this sick, twisted plan, and he wants to find the bow and arrow and destroy it. And Josuke actually gives him a little bit of props after this by saying, this kid, he's braver than he looks. I mean, I didn't expect this much out of him. But seeing how much heart he has and seeing that he wants to do the right thing, Josuke decides to stay with them, and they're going to find the arrow and the bow and they're going to see if they can destroy it. Now, again, Josuke wants to hurry up and get out of the house because the Nijimura brothers, or at least Okuyasu, mentioned that they had a father as well. And if you remember, when they first went to the house, it was like a shadow type figure that was on the ground that was looking at them while they were walking in. And we also saw something flashing from the attic. So it's definitely more than just the brothers that was in the house. So they start going around the house. They go up to the attic and they notice that the stand bow and arrow is there in a room afar. But they also hear like some type of noise as we get into the opening. And our episode is about to start kicking off. Now, like I said before, this opening really is growing on me. It's not going to top Bloody Storm, which was the opening of part 2, but I just find myself nodding my head to it and dancing around to it every week. It really is a fun opening, and it really is starting to grow on me. So we get the intro. Now we can get to the episode, and let's get to the real meat of the breakdown. So back inside the Nijimura house, they go up to the attic area and they find the bow and arrow. But come on now, you know it's not going to be this easy, as the closer they get into the darkness and into where the bow and arrow is, they keep hearing like a growl or like a rumble, just getting louder and louder as they approach it. So they come up with a plan. They see something that's chained up, so one of them is going to distract the monster and the other one's going to run in, grab the bow and arrow and try to break it. Preferably Josuke decided that he's going to do it, get his friend out of danger. So he wants Koichi distracted. He's going to run in, grab the bow and arrow and break it. But come on now, of course it's not going to be that easy, as the episode straight up goes into horror movie mode. I mean, straight people under the stairs, the ring, one last call, whatever you want to call it as. Whatever it was that was scurrying around with that chain on grabs Koichi and just starts dragging him by the legs as he's frantically trying to get away, and Josuke is trying to pull him. And it's not letting go, so Josuke uses Crazy Diamond, punches the monster in the arm, and the arm comes off and explodes. I mean, that's just disgusting. As the monster scurries away into the corner, and we can see just kind of like a warded frog type of figure. It is here when Keicho Nijimura comes in again, and he says that this monster is indeed their father. Wow. So now we got the two brothers, and now we got a father who has some type of regenerative ability, as in the corner the arm did come back, and it came back and regenerated itself just kind of like a lizard. It's like kind of like this thing is almost immortal. And it's here where we get a little bit of backstory about what's going on, and we get some characterization for the older Nijimura brother. I mean, he's still a scum, he's still a piece of crap, but one thing that JoJo does, they can make you hate a character, and it can make you understand a character as well, as he starts to get into the tragic backstory that caused everything to be where it is right now. So we find out that the Nijimura father is actually one of the leftover remnants of Dio stand users. Oh my god, Dio is still out here with his claws in things and still has a hand in control of the outcome of things that's going on well after his death 11 years later, as we get a flashback that 11 years ago the Nijimura family went through extreme hardship, as he was a businessman, and you know, stocks in his businesses crashed and started to turn under. So he was in a really bad place, to the point where he was abusing his family. You know, the mother died because of an illness. So it was just the two brothers, and now this drunken and abusive father. And what the father did is he made a deal with Dio to become one of his minions, and he had a flesh bud put into his head. And Dio used to put the flesh bud into people's head, of people that he didn't trust, or people he felt he had to watch, or he would have needed to control, because not everyone was as willing as like Vanilla Ice was to him, for example. So that made him a stand user. However, it wasn't the ideal stand user. It wasn't exactly a failure. It just wasn't the type of stand user that maybe Dio couldn't utilize to stop the Joestar and company back then. And he paid the Nijimura father for being his goon, basically. And when Dio died in part 3 in Stardust, after the mission was accomplished, the flesh blood still existed, and the flesh bud at that point went berserk inside his head, causing a mutation in the Nijimura father, making it what it is today, which is this nasty, grotesque monster that they can't kill because it has Dio cells in it. Is pretty much immortal. So the whole reason why Keicho wanted to find a stand bow and arrow and a stand user is because he was trying to find a stand user that can actually kill their father, because it's a two-sided sword. It's like he wanted to kill his father because he treated them like crap growing up after going through what they did. But at the same time, he can't bring himself to kill him because it's his father. He still loves him, and he doesn't want to see him suffer the way he has. So he's trying to find a stand that can pretty much give it a mercy kill so he can die as a normal human being instead of this grotesque monster. And it's a box that's in the corner that he says that his father's always trying to get into this box. No matter what he does, he always goes back to his box and tries to get into this box and find something inside it. And no matter what you do, if you take it away from him, he starts crying. So he gets even more savage at this point. He starts savagely just kicking and stomping and beating on the father, because again, at the same time, he berates this thing. He hates what this thing is, but he's saddened at the same time because of what his father has become. At this point, Josuke gets pissed off, and he gets a little bit irritated with what he sees right now, as he sends in Crazy Diamond and punches Keicho out the way, as well as the box. And inside the box, Josuke saw there was some paper. So when he hit the box, the paper came back together and formed into a picture, which was actually a picture of the Nijimura family when they were younger. And again, Keicho is a piece of crap to Okuyasu, but he was always still a brother to him. Like when the father used to abuse him or whatever, he used to still kind of console him a little bit, and that's why he wanted him to grow up to be stronger, so he could be strong enough to live in this world, even though it was kind of a tough love type of way. So what he was desperately digging for this entire 10 years inside this box every day was a picture of his family, of the mother, the father, and both the sons back in the happier times before things went along. While this story is being explained, and as we now have a villain who has been a little bit humanized with just trying to find a way to give his father a mercy kill, we also see Okuyasu outside, who hears the story as well, as he starts crying too. It is at this point that Josuke tries to reason with Keicho by just saying, you know, give up the bow and arrow. You don't need to do things this way. And Okuyasu agrees as well, as he says this isn't how we should be going about things. We shouldn't be going around just killing people or just not caring about people and making these stand users. We need to stop all this right now and try to find a better way. With that being said, Josuke declares that he will help the brothers find a stand user that can heal their father instead of killing them, and only if they give up the stand arrow. But before anything can move, before a decision is made, Josuke notices that it's a man outside on the roof. So as he looks up, all of a sudden, we just see something come out from the electricity socket, just a big bolt of electricity that shows up, and it's going towards Okuyasu. So Keicho actually steps in and berates his brother. He says, you know, something along the lines, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, don't zone out right now. And he decks his brother in the face, still being a piece of crap brother. But by doing this, he actually shielded his brother as the stand user punches through the older Nijimura brother's heart right now. He punches through his chest, and we see kind of like a chicken, like bird type electrical thing that has punched through the Nijimura brother right now. And this stand can actually talk, or the stand user per se is talking through this stand, who is named Red Hot Chili Pepper. I mean, that's right. I mean, JoJo, I mean, you should know by now, especially if you're watching JoJo, that these characters and these stands, they're all based off of musical bands. This stand is called Red Hot Chili Pepper, and apparently it can turn itself into electricity, as he's talking through the stand by saying, I have learned how to use my stand to the point where it's this intricate, where I can do this, where I can go through electricity, where I can project and talk through it. And he basically is like, I'm not giving up this bow and arrow. So he grabs the older brother, he materializes him to electricity as well, and the bow and arrow, and escapes and goes out. And Josuke takes to the roof to try to follow him, and everybody else does as well. But by the time he gets up there, we see that Keicho Nijimura is now dead, as his body is just frayed to a crisp on the electrical wires above. So we got a brother down. So I mean, this is just tragic for Nijimura right now, for Okuyasu, as he's lost his mother when he was younger. His father is this mutated thing, and now his brother is dead, as we get some good characterization as well. As Nijimura realizes, he was like, yeah, he was my brother. He treated me like shit. He was a piece of crap. But in the end, he actually gave his life for me, because even though he berated him in the last minute, he did what he did to push his brother out of harm's way. So his brother's gone, but he kind of feels that his brother still cared for him. It was just a little bit of tough love at this sake. So the stand user escapes through the phone lines with his electrical ability, and then he also makes a call to Jotaro with the phone, and he basically threatens Jotaro while telling him to leave Moria Town, stop looking for the bow and arrow. I just want to have some fun because I've had such a boring life. So if you leave me alone, I won't kill Josuke and his family. But come on, man, you don't want to throw hands with Jotaro Kujo. You're not gonna win that one, baby. Not with the OG. And Jotaro is not even worried at this point, as a stand user uses the electricity, blows up the phone after making a threat. Jotaro just dusts off and sits down. He gives us the classic Yari Yari Dezei, the good grief, as he's not even worried. He's probably just gonna go tell Josuke what's going on. And speaking of Josuke, we get back to his house and we find out that Okuyasu decided to stay. He's gonna fix up the house and he's gonna stay with his father, as he is now his neighbor. So he goes next door to Josuke, knocks on the door, and he's all like, Josuke, you ready for school, buddy? And Josuke, he isn't mad. He's just kind of looking like, we're not in grade school. We're not like elementary school kids. Why are you coming knocking over the door seeing if I'm ready for school? I'll just see you there. And, his mom comes in and is like, oh, so you have a new friend? Come on in. And, sit down and have some breakfast. And he's like, okay. And this goes back to what I was saying. It's like Okuyasu, he just didn't seem like he never was a bad person. He was just being influenced by his brother and doing what his older brother was asking of him, because he was his older brother and he didn't want to let him down. And we can see the type of character he's going to be. And I can tell you, this character, he's going to be a real bro. You're going to like him a whole lot more than Polnareff, which is, Polnareff, a lot of people say that part 3 was Polnareff's bizarre adventure because all the crazy and weird stuff happened to him. And honestly, I felt he was the one that should have died instead of Kakyoin, because I wasn't really a fan of Polnareff. I just liked his stand because that boy was clean. So now we got Josuke, and now he has 2 friends. Both are stand users, and next episode we're also going to find out what Koichi's stand can do as well. That's just a little hint there as the episode is called Echoes. And you know, we get the classic line, just like how Jotaro has Yari Yari to say, or good grief. Now we got with Josuke every episode, at least twice or once, he's gonna give you great though, as he's looking like great. So now I got this crazy dude as my friend. And that was the end of the episode. And again, it was probably the best episode of JoJo, part 4 at least to date. I mean, part 1 was hype because it introduced you to this new world and this badass Joestar that we have in Josuke. But this episode, it wasn't heavy on action until like the end, where you see new stand users, and again you see more complexity in the type of stands that they have. But it was just the emotional impact that this episode had, as even in the end you can kind of understand what the older Nijimura Bros was trying to do. So he was scum, but in the end he still went out for his family, protecting his family, and overall just wanted the best for his family. It doesn't excuse what he was doing, but it kind of put him in a better light overall. So yeah, that was the rundown of the episode. That was the breakdown of the episode. Go ahead and let me know what you thought in the comments of this episode as well. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as I bring you guys content almost every day. And on that note, be sure to join me here tomorrow as I review Kids Niver. Now it's going to be out a little bit later in the day tomorrow because this Saturday, your boy got some stuff to take care of, but I will have the episode out for you. And as I always say, you guys can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for stopping by. On that note, that was the Scott Report. It's your boy Infrar-Ed signing out. See you soon.